We're back with a Fox News alert. Right now, Israeli airspace is back open, while schools and large gatherings remain canceled as Israel weighs its response to Iran's massive drone and missile attack. Aryeh Lightstone served as a senior advisor to the former U.S. ambassador to Israel. He joins us live from Israel with a firsthand look. Aryeh, thanks for joining us this morning. What was it like being a part of that, the anticipation of it, and then the actual event itself?
Well, the anticipation was rather terrifying, and the most terrifying part of it is explaining to your kids that they're going to be shot at again. We have 4 kids, all under the age of 15, and the prospect of spending yet another night in the bomb shelter was not anything that we were looking forward to. But we spent most of the night watching the U.S. and Israel and Jordan, even in the U.K., shoot down this horrendous attack from Iran, and felt an enormous amount of pride about what Israel and the United States are able to do when they put their mind to it.
Aryeh, how much time did you spend in a bunker? Meaning, like, what was the exact or basic amount of time that the attack unfolded for someone that was in Israel?
Yeah, so we got reports at 11:15 p.m. last night that drones had left Iran, which is a funny thing to watch in real time on X. The country that you're staying in actually being attacked. And it said it's going to take anywhere between 3 and 6 hours for that to come. But don't worry. Simultaneous with that happening, there will be cruise missiles launched from Iran that will get there faster, and surface-to-surface missiles, and expect Lebanon and Yemen to jump in as well as Syria and Iraq. And in general, throughout the night, there were reports that were happening. You've got this Red Alert app, which tells you where missiles can be hitting and when you need to go down to the shelter. With 4 kids, I thought it was just more prudent to have everybody there in advance and not to wake them up in the middle of the night. And I was on sort of news watch throughout the night, trying to figure out what was going on, speaking to leadership in Washington on the Republican side, obviously, and various other people who were concerned about friends and family in the area.
So it was an all-night event. What's your sense? We're trying to get a sense of whether or not Iran would have believed that this was a performative attack, meaning, hey, we have to do this, but we don't really want to escalate, or was your sense that the barrage was so large and the different assets so variant that they would have had to have believed that it would have had some level of success?
I'd like to say that I think that point is, well, important. It's purely academic. Iran looks at the Biden administration and sees complete and total weakness. So they believe that when Biden says don't, just look how Iran thumbed their nose at President Biden. And they proceeded with this, whether it was performative or whether it was deliberate, over 300 attack objects headed from Iran into Israel in the middle of the night. By the way, leaving a Saturday night, leaving the staff preparing into Passover, so much for the truce during the holidays. That action happening was testing whether Biden's don't was to Iran or whether it was to Israel. And they put a bet that when Biden says don't, he's talking to Israel, just like all of the don'ts in the last 6 weeks have been about Israel and not about Hamas.
Interesting. What do you think happens next, Aryeh? What do you think? What's the calculation of the Israeli government? Is there a response to this? Is it an opportunity to advance and finish the job in Gaza? What's next, do you think?
Well, the lesson from October 7th is when somebody says they're going to kill you, don't let them. And what you had leading up to October 7th, literally a decade plus of Israel receiving missiles day and night from Hamas in Gaza and being told, limit your response, you've got this awesome air defense. Israel continues to have an awesome air defense and was able, with the United States of America and other allies, to shoot down Iran's missile barrage. That does not mean that it's permitted to shoot at a sovereign country. Israel will choose its time and place to be able to hit back, and I would expect that hit to be rather explosive. Because Biden's administration has been weak on this, I don't expect it to be immediate, but I expect it to be meaningful.
So you don't expect it to be immediate, but you think it will be eventually, meaning there will be a response to this. Interesting. Aryeh Lightstone, I'm glad your family's okay. I'm sure it was a long night. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you, Pete.
God bless. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.